Hello, craft beer friends, and welcome to Season 8, Episode 22 of Tap to Craft Podcast. I am Denny Luce, coming to you from Boise, Idaho, and my partner in craft, the dog whisperer, and my favorite Florida man from Tampa, Florida, Mr. Chris McKenzie. How you doing tonight, and what is in your glass?
Denny, I am doing wonderful this evening, and you know what? After all these weeks, I am actually starting to work again on Mondays.
Oh, no. Wow. Well, that's probably, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is it because you have so much business you just can't make it without coming back?
That's what I'm going to go with.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to change some things up. That's we're going to be open again on Sundays and Mondays, so it'll be it's going to be an adjustment, a partial adjustment. So we'll see what that looks like here as the next couple of weeks go on. But other than that, man, I'm doing great. It's the first pool day of the season.
Oh,
got all the floats inflated today.
nice.
Got done with dinner. Everybody else is out swimming.
Wait a minute. Is your pool enclosed or is it open?
It's enclosed. It's enclosed with screens.
With screens, but I see so many people in Florida that pretty much use their pool all year round. You don't use your pool all year round?
No, the last house where we had an electric heater on it, which was great. But man, it's finally just getting warm enough that the water temperature is comfortable.
It's not like, you don't jump in and then everything kind of sucks up to your chin.
Yeah, I jumped in the other day. I was playing with my dog, and I got I was like, you know what? I'm warm. I'm just gonna suck it up. I'm just gonna go jump in the water. And I jumped in, and it was kind of a and then finally, once I decided to start breathing, and the muscles started to relax a little bit, it was enjoyable. And I think it was just, I've become a sissy when it comes to cold water.
Yeah, it's that initial shock that gets you, right? Gets you every time.
Yeah, it got me pretty good. But in my glass tonight, oh crap. Rewind. In my glass tonight, I'm drinking a beer that has a longer name than I believe that it should. From a Hoppin frog, and this is a handful, so bear with me now. It's peanut butter, hazelnut, caramel chocolate cake stout.
Oh, wow.
So I got this from Tavor a few months back. This was, it says best by October 20th of 2021 or 2024. I can't tell. It's a little smeared. But I'm kind of curious about this because I'm just now opening it up, and it's just about that 45-degree mark.
Okay, that's a good temp. Is it still too cold?
No. I was expecting this to be just stupid sweet too. I believe I'm going to enjoy this.
Well, good. I hope so. It sounds like a lot going on.
But
yeah, you almost had a beer foul there.
Almost had a moment.
A moment.
Yeah. But yeah, I was very much expecting this to be just super sweet and thick and just coat the inside of your mouth, but it's not. It's roasty and it's coffee. I mean, is there coffee in there? No. There's definitely chocolate and caramel, but not getting much peanut butter. But
do you get the hazelnut? Because there's a peanut butter and hazelnut in there.
Yeah, I bet you I'm going to start getting the hazelnut as it warms up a little more.
Yeah. Let it warm up a little bit more.
But I'm surprised. I was very hesitant to drink this, but I'm surprised. So enough about this. We'll talk a little bit about this as we continue on. But what about you? How's your day going, and what's in your glass this evening?
Well, I'll just say it is a Monday. So Mondays are Mondays. But you know what? It's going much better now because I'm drinking beer, chatting with you.
Yeah.
We're going to have a great show about a topic that I love, and I love to share with our listeners because I think people will enjoy it and get a lot out of it. But I am drinking local brewery. One of my favorite here in Boise is Swede Brewing, and this is their Mundo Loco Mexican lager, Mexican style lager. And I'll tell you what, this is a beer that I love to drink. It's easy. I can down a few pints pretty quickly. It's only like 4.5%. It's crisp, refreshing, great on a hot summer day. Right now, the heat's kind of starting to crank up in our area, and I had to right before I came up to record, the house was so muggy because nobody was in here all day, and it kind of like heated up that I had to turn the AC on to
Oh,
try to remove some of that moisture, make it so I'm not just going to be a sweat bag up here in front of our live listeners. But
that's what we call you when we're not on live stream.
yeah,
Denny
yeah,
Sweatbag.
sweat my sweat bag. But what's nice about this is, and I know it's it's a double edged sword.
Hmm.
I love going to the brewery. I love drinking there. I love supporting them. I love the fact that when I do drink there, more money goes into their pockets. But I'm just and I never anyone whenever I get invited to go out, I'm still going out and drinking quite a bit. As I told you, I was kind of slowing down. No, I've gone to Mad Swede every week, sometimes twice a week since I
Very
said
good.
that I was going to slow down because I don't like paying $7 a pint. But I did slow down. I didn't actually go this last weekend. I was just too busy with other stuff. But I did pick up two 4 packs of this, 9.50 a piece. That means I get 4 pints for the price of one and a half fish, one and a
One and a
third.
half fish.
So I know it sucks that I'm not going to the brewery and spending the extra money, but man, my wallet just can't handle it. I'm doing home renovations that are costing a pretty penny. I need
Hmm.
to save some money. And if they're going to sell me a 4 pack for 9.50, hell, I'm going to buy a couple of those. So I'm on my second 4 pack now. I just opened up my second one from the 4 pack I bought this weekend.
All
Two four
right.
packs. So yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Okay, now we got a big show. I don't want to run too long, so we're going to get right into it. But before we get into the content, we always want to let anyone new listening to Tap the Craft podcast know what we're all about. We are an educational podcast, and we focus around celebrating all things craft beer because we want to assist you, our listener, along in your craft beer journey and adventures. And you're listening to episode 204. We're recording on Monday, May 16th, 2022. And yes, we are live on Facebook and Twitter. And if you would like to join us during our recording sessions, then do that on the Monday before the show airs. And we have a new show every other Thursday. That Monday before that Thursday, we do recording at 8:30 Eastern Time. And in this episode, we will be discussing an introduction to Belgian beer styles. Now, remember from last week or last episode, we talked about the history of Belgian beer. And
Hmm.
now I wanted to go ahead and cover some introduction to the different beer styles that Belgium has. And they have a ton. So we're going to briefly, pretty briefly discuss them all. I will highlight where we've already had in-depth topics on previous episodes. If you want to go back and revisit those and get more insight on that style after hearing it today, then we'll tell you what episode it's in. And we've done an introduction in like the first year, like the end of the first year of recording. We did episode, I think, 23 and 25 were the similar thing. We broke it into two episodes and did the same thing. But now I'm kind of taking it, new and improved in 2022. And of course, you can count on Chris and I having some great conversation along as well. And Chris and I would love to thank all of our Patreon supporters because this episode is brought to you in part by our satisfied Patreon supporters like Mike Allen, Bill Schlimmer, Amanda and Kevin Argauer, Mark Reedy, Mike Blanchard, Tara Carlson, and Jim Kutzo, who are our virtual producers, and Tom Byrne, Jeff Seiler, Johan Halberg, Chad Lamassa, Mark Church, Eric Brownlee, and Matt Knight, who want to buy us a virtual beer. And if you enjoy the content we provide, we invite you to support the show by toasting your host or buying us a virtual beer or even becoming a virtual producer. You can explore the options on our support page by visiting patreon.com/tapthecraft. And you notice I added Jim Kutzo on there. Tara went
Hmm.
ahead and upped
Hmm.
her to a producer level and said, hey, since we did this, can you add Jim? Of course we'll add Jim because, Kevin and Amanda are combined there, so we can add Jim and Tara as well. We appreciate their support. And we did get some feedback from the last episode from Ms. Tara Carlson. And she wrote us an email. And Chris, I just got done chatting away. You want to read what she had to say? If you're ready.
Where'd it go?
Great. Come on, Chris. Come on, man. We're live. We're
I know.
live.
We're we're
We're
doing
doing
it.
it
We're
live.
doing it live. All right, there it is. I was like, I know it's in here. I just saw it. So she gave us a short list of breweries. That's the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I see it in the notes. Oh my God. All right. So she had given us a short list of breweries they wanted to visit while they were in Asheville, which I do believe they are still there now.
Yeah, they're
Um,
still there.
and she said, I will let you know which I actually get to. So first on the list, Burial. And she wrote, because Burial.
Burial.
Wedge at Foundation to see some street art. Zillicoa, they have a smoked Maibach and a rye lager. What more could you want?
I
I don't.
know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. One World Brewing, Speakeasy Atmosphere, and Dutch Shuffleboard, whatever that is. I dated a girl that I did a Dutch Shuffleboard with once.
Oh, that sounds
That's
like
anyway,
fun.
moving on to the next one. Cellarist, wood fermented farmhouse ales. Denny, that sounds right up your alley too. She said this
Yeah.
list may change once I talk to the locals. I am so looking forward to this trip.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a great list of breweries that, for one, I haven't heard a lot of, and two, sound like they have some great beers that you've already researched. After I read this, I went to how do you say that? Zillicoa?
I think it's Zillicoa.
Zillicoa. I went to their website because I had to check it out. I want to say, for one thing, a smoked Maibach sounds like a really good type of smoked beer, right? The Maibach is yeah, it can be a little bit more bitter for a lager. I mean, not bitter, but it has a little bit more of a sharpness to it, in my experience. Maybe it just depends on who makes the beer. And I think, but I think a smoked portion would go really well with that. So I think she actually rated that pretty high too when she did go there. And of course, a rye lager, I will never turn down a rye lager. Um, I love rye in all my beer. And then the cellarist sounds interesting too. Wood fermented farmhouse ales. You know how I love my saisons and farmhouse ales, so that'd be good. And the wedge at Foundation, to see some street art and murals on the wall. And she actually took a picture of it today when she was there, and that's a nice big mural. No, as I'm starting to burp, but
Yeah. Well, Connor Larson just jumped in and said Roush all the way. Yeah.
Roush,
All right.
yes.
Yeah, they got to be a specific one, buddy. That's a tough one in my in my book to hit.
Yeah, but Connor, we did just do an episode on Roush beer, so check that out
Yeah.
if you hadn't had a listen. And I really have come back to that style and have appreciated some of the smoked beers I've had recently. So
Yeah.
yeah, Roush beer.
Well, it's an exciting day for him. They just reopened the doors of
Oh, good,
the pizza shop today
good.
after many renovations. Connor, I tried to get over there and get dinner tonight, and the family vetoed it. There were other ideas in mind. So next time, buddy, we'll get over there very soon. And let
Yeah.
me know if you're coming down here so you and I can at least sit for 30 seconds and have a beer together.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But yeah, he said he loves the smoke on the beers. Yeah, there's definitely, yeah, finally, definitely nice Roush beers out there. But to me, they are few and far between.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I'm in the part of my craft beer journey where I'm revisiting some of the styles that I didn't necessarily like for a while, and like everything, it changes, and I'm enjoying them much more. My palate has matured, and I can appreciate what they have as long as they're not too strong. Because I did get turned off by those. I think the brewery that really kind of turned me off to smoked beers is the one that's actually now out of. I think they've pretty much gone out of business. Is Hair of the Dog in
Mm.
Portland. I think they're right in their final days. They're waiting for all the beer to disappear. But not saying he didn't make good beer. He made good beer, but my gosh, the smoke on some of those beers were just way too much, and I think that kind of turned me off to smoking in craft beer for a while. All right, well, if you want to be like Tara or anyone that leaves us voicemails or stuff on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, you can do that. You can write us by email at taptocraft@gmail.com, or if you want to mention us on Twitter or Instagram, just add us at taptocraft, And of course, Chris wants to interact with you on Facebook at facebook.com/taptocraft. And we do have the Tap to Craft podcast website at taptocraft.com. So, Chris, let's continue the conversation because now it's time to untap the craft and see what our listeners are drinking according to Untapped.
Well, we are going to go right back to Jim Kudzall because he's drinking an English Pale Ale, the WLP 033 by White Labs Brewing Company at White Labs Brewing Company. So, for my beer nerds out there, you can go check out White Labs, who produce a lot of the yeast that's in your beers you drink.
One comment is that I saw that Tara checked into a beer earlier today, and she mentioned that they had two of the same exact beers, except they changed the yeast. So you had a different yeast being used in each one, so you can kind of see what changes by just changing the yeast. I think it was a Scotch ale, if I remember correctly, Scottish ale or Scotch ale. And she said it was a pretty mild change, but there is a difference in the way the beer comes out.
Yeah, those yeast will make a lot of difference. But he went on to say, dry and clean, very lightly malty. White Labs is a manufacturer of yeast and brews several beers with identical recipes, except for the yeast. This way, you can taste the difference the yeast itself makes to the beer flavor. 4.5 caps for that beer. Here's that comment that she made. Tara Carlson drinking an Irish Red Ale, which is the Edinburgh Scottish Ale year, or the WLP 028. She said, getting an education in yeast, comparing two beers with oddly difference, or with the only bit difference is the yeast strain. It's very subtle, but I'm imagining I taste the difference. Can't wait to taste the yeast in a wood-fired pizza. 4.25 caps for that beer. Moving on up on the list, some other check-ins from Jim and Tara, a hazy IPA from White Labs as well. And then moving on up to Bill Schlemmer is drinking here's a classic one, Stone IPA by Stone Brewing. He just says very mild, 3.75 caps on this one. How is it that we've gone from, and think about it, Stone IPA? We were talking about this one a couple of episodes ago where it was, Stone IPA, that was the biggest and the best that they had. Now, it's kind of mild.
Yeah, I mean, I think Stone IPA is still Stone's biggest selling beer.
I would agree with you, but I mean, how far we have come as beer drinkers.
Yeah, because Stone IPA, but I never thought Stone IPA was all that out there, bold and big. It was a good, IPA, but it wasn't like crazy. Not like Arrogant Bastard, right? As stronger. That thing, people would take one sip and like would set it aside. And I got lots of beer from people who just couldn't drink it, and I'm like, "Oh, give it to me! I love this beer."
Yeah.
So I mean, that was one. It's still, we've mentioned it many times. Arrogant Bastard Ale is still one of my enjoyment. It's one of the beers I still do enjoy from Stone, and I will get one every so often. But we've mentioned it. I've kind of stirred away from Stone. There's other breweries that are brewing, in my opinion, better beer for my money, and so that's why I've switched over.
But if you're talking about some nostalgia, we're going to be reading a nostalgia check-in here in a little bit. But Bill Schlemmer is also drinking an oatmeal stout by Gray Brewing. This beer is basically a description of me: easy drinking, not a lot of character. 3.5 caps.
Oh, come on, man! You have lots of character.
Listen, I agree, but I love a little self-deprecation goes a long way. Denny, Buck's drinking a beer that I would love if you could get a hold of. It's called a Black Forest by Crescent City Brew House. It's a refreshing black lager, according to Buck. He gave this one a 4-cap rating. Let's see. Jim Kudzall again drinking an English mild, beer flavored beer. At Wedge Brewing Company. He said smooth, creamy, and ever so slightly sweet. A low ABV offering on nitro with a hefty body to it. 4-cap rating there.
So I wonder if the nitro helps kind of give it that cask-like mouthfeel, but it's not the same as cask because it kind of is because it kind of makes it takes the carbonation out of it, right? And
Yeah.
cask isn't really carbonated, so maybe it does give it a more of a cask
I
like.
don't know. Those English milds. I mean, I had one a couple months ago that I was really enjoying and thinking about that one. Had it been on nitro and not had some bubbles to it, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much. But,
It's
you know,
yeah. We won't know until we go to England and we go drink real ale in
yeah.
England, right?
Yeah.
Off the cask. I won't know until I experience that myself.
Yeah. We also had a photo of Tara checking into an Italian Pilsner by Wedge Brewing with an awesome mural on the outside
Yes,
of the
that's
building.
she
That
made it
is
there.
really cool. I need to remember more beer words when it comes to describing this beer. Um, Buck Buchanan is drinking a Ghost in the Machine by Parish Brewing Company, having a fantastic hazy in a really cool little cafe. I'm pretty sure the 100 IBU is a little off, or they hide it well. Definitely not that bitter. I would agree with you, Buck. I don't think it's that high. But he gave it 4.25 caps for that one. Back to Asheville with Tara is drinking a Contrition by Burial Beer Company. Pilsners and short pours have become my standard. Listen, you go on a beer trip like that, you're going to
Mm.
have to drink some 5 ounce tasters. I remember having to check into all the beers that we drank the last time we were in Asheville. And I think I just had to make a list and hope that I stayed hydrated.
Yeah, that's the key, and I think that's why, Jim and Tara aren't doing this in a weekend, right? They're
Mm-mm.
taking a nice extended, hopefully through this week, maybe Wednesday or so they'll head back. I mean, they're doing it the right way. It's not trying to overwhelm yourself all at one time. Uh, Take it, visit a few places, try some beers, come
Mm-hmm.
back to the ones that you want to revisit and try some of the other beers they had and enjoy.
And I'll give kind of my 2 cents on that one too, because if you go and you get these tasters, right, you get those 5 ounce pours. Now, give me crap for it if you want to. You don't look if you're out there touring all these breweries and trying to try all these beers, you don't have to finish the beer. You can leave a little bit in the glass. You don't have to.
What? Come on,
Listen,
man. Man
listen.
up.
No, not man up. It is. I want to continue my journey
Yeah, yeah.
and enjoy it and not be look, get just shy of borderline stupid.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. You
Okay.
got to keep it under control. But I'll say one more thing is I have I have just been buying pints
Mm-hmm.
in the last year. I haven't bought. I can't remember the last time I bought a taster of anything. Even when I go to a spot and have something,
Yeah.
they say you want to buy a small one. No, no, no. I'm all in. I'm going. Give
Yeah.
me the pint. And if I don't like it, it's my own fault. I just I'll be careful next time. But um, sometimes you get you get bummed out when it's not as good as you thought it would, and you'd rather have a smaller one. But when you do have a good one, I I've come to realize that some of these beers, if you only have the 5 ounce pour, you might miss out on that beer opening up and
Well,
providing something like what you're doing right now, right?
perfect
If you
example.
only had 5 ounces of that, you could have drank most of it in your first couple sips before it warmed up and kind of opened and gave you all those extra flavors. And then maybe the last ones, who knows, you may not be able to provide what you would if you had a full pint of it and you got
Yeah.
got everything. And so this year I've just said, you know what, I'm ordering full pints of everything. Now, I when I say that, I'm saying not 5 ounce pours. Now I will order 10 ounce pours because that's like just shy of a pint, right? It's almost a
Mm-hmm.
12 ounce can. And I find that if a brewery offers 10 ounce pours, I can drink a few of those 10 ounce pours more than I can drink a few of those 16 ounce pours.
Yeah.
So I do get the 10 ounce pours like a Jim Dandy. I'll go in the first day that I'm there and I'll buy everything in a 10 ounce pour. I'll come back the next day and then I'll get 16 ounce pours of the ones I
Okay.
really that I just need to have more of, right? So I can get more drinking in that first day.
Because admittedly, the hazelnut is starting to come out of this beer, which it's getting even better as we're
Oh,
going through
okay.
it.
Oh, good.
But I will also tell you kind of what I've done, and I always pre-apologize to the person behind the bar There have been plenty of breweries that I've gone into, Denny, and then I go, listen, I'm going to pre-apologize to you now. I've got one time to come in here, and I'd
Yeah.
love to try a little bit of everything you've got. I've heard
So give me
wonderful things, right?
these
No,
little
listen,
sips.
no, lay it on thick, right? I'd love to try everything that you have. I've heard amazing things about your brewery. I want one of each in a 5-ounce pour.
I have 28 taps. Are you kidding me?
I've done it, right? And a lot of places will be like, look, we'll give you the first 4. Once you finish those, we'll give you the next
Yeah,
4,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
you kind of go through it. I did that with Joel a couple of months ago at a local brewery here, and they were like, "Yeah, we can serve you 4 at a time," and there were 16, 18 beers on tap.
Yeah.
So it was plenty for us to at least try a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But then when you do that, tip your servers very well, because all those little tiny pours can be a little over the top too.
Yeah, they're basically every little pour is, the equivalent of holding a glass. I mean, it's less fluid, but you still got to go
They
through
got
the
to wash that
motion of,
glass later.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So we always make sure we take very good care of them too. Next on the list is going to be David Martin is drinking a And Foe by 13 Stripes Brewery. No notes, but a 4-cap rating for that one. He's also drinking a Light and Glory by 13 Stripes Brewery. Checking them out at the source. Easy drinking and has the good juicy flavors. Very little bitterness. 3 3/4 caps for that one. Jeff Weesey is drinking, this is right up my alley, a peach pie Berliner by Weldworks Brewing Company. Awesome notes of peach and vanilla on the palate with a tart graham cracker cinnamon finish. 4 3/4 caps for that beer. Jeff, I would love to know what it would have taken to get you to that 5-cap rating for that beer. I mean, you're just shy and it's peach. Like, what happened? This is the one.
Send us a voicemail, Jeff.
Yeah. 20853 oddly.
Oddly.
Right? Make sure you call us. This is the check-in that I was talking about. Jeff Seiler, and you guys, you're gonna hear this. You're gonna go, what the hell? Is drinking a Rolling Rock Extra Pale by Latrobe Brewing Company. Now,
is it in a can?
It is in a can, but he poured it in a glass.
Yeah. But,
right?
but
So,
I mean, I'm wondering if it tastes different in a can and in the green bottle.
I'd be curious to know as well, because for those of you who don't know, usually Rolling Rock comes in a green bottle and the beer is normally skunky and light struck. And
it is so skunky.
He gave it a 2.5 cap rating, but he said, look, it's average stuff. He said, it's my birthday. And it's the 50th anniversary of my 18th birthday. So I know, right? So 50 years ago today, I legally bought my first beer, and it was a Rolling Rock at a dive bar. The memories. Not that great a beer, but it tastes like nostalgia.
Happy birthday, Jeff.
Yeah,
How did we miss Jeff's birthday? How did I miss it today?
Denny, we didn't.
Oh. He said it.
It's in my notes at the end.
Oh, okay. Never mind, okay. Jeff. We didn't miss it.
We totally didn't miss it. And I love it because Jeff and Tara were having some conversation back and forth. Tara said, I remember my Rolling Rock phase and the obsession with the number on the label. And Jeff said, thanks, Tara. It was the beer that all the cool kids were drinking in Western New York. Yeah, so that's pretty good.
I was in Connecticut when I had Rolling Rock.
Yeah,
at sub school. Yeah, So that's when I experienced it, and and we went camping, and we drank a lot of it, and it just was not. I mean, I revisited it. Actually, I revisited Rolling Rock here in Boise when I first moved here. My friend Troy came over, and he remembered it from the East Coast as well, and he said, "Look what they got over here now." I'm like, oh no, not Rolling Rock. And sure enough, we open it up and it's just as skunky and just like I remembered it back so many years ago.
Yeah, the one and only time I ever had it was at the Rolling Rock Town Festival. So just outside of Pennsylvania in Latrobe, PA, they had a huge music festival and got to see some pretty awesome bands like Stone Temple Pilots and Incubus. And there were a handful of bands that were there. It was just an awesome festival to go there. And of course, if you're there and it's the Rolling Rock Town Fest, well, then you just have
You
to have
gotta
Rolling
drink
Rock.
it. Yeah, yeah. I was just curious if the skunkiness was more subdued in the can. That's
Yeah, I would hope so. Or maybe they just added in, a little spritz of sulfur in there for you. Next on the list, and I just want to read this one because of the name of the beer. Buck Buchanan is drinking a Jucifer by Gnarly Barley Brewing, and he says, "Great little hazy." I'm pretty sure NCIS is filmed at this bar.
well, it's nice. I don't
Four,
watch NCIS, but I know what it is.
yeah, but there's so many different variations of
That's
it.
true.
Four
Yeah.
cap rating for that one. Continuing his check-in streak for, I guess this is his 25,000th show in a row. It's Chad Lamassa is drinking a Schmoogy Strawberry Colada by Imprint Beer Company. He also
Strawberry.
commented on
So it's
our
coconut and strawberry.
yeah. He also commented on our live stream too. He was supposed to be at Merriweather Post Pavilion today. I think it was today to see a Foo Fighters concert, but
Oh, but did they cancel it
I
because
believe
they
it
don't
was
have a drummer?
canceled. Well, yeah, and that's what he said. He said because of what happened
Taylor.
there, and
Oh,
I went, wait,
oh.
what happened at Merriweather? I've been to that venue multiple times, and that's what he mentioned was Taylor. So them not having a drummer was
Okay.
making it a little hard to have a tour.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
on a better note, he said it's a strawberry pina colada that he gave a 4.5 cap rating to. He also had an impressionist by Old Mother Brewing. Cool can art. Nice bitter hop bomb. 4.5 caps for that one as well. Chew Your Beer,
Oh,
or as we know him
Robert.
as Robert, he's drinking a Session Premium Lager by Full Sail Brewing Company.
I do love those beers.
Yeah. And he said, I can't believe I've never had this. 3.5 cap rating
Is
for
it in a
that beer.
can or in a
It is
bottle?
in a can, and he's drinking it out of his Dodgers glass.
Okay.
Next on the list, Lauren F. is drinking a mango. Wow, I almost mixed this up. A mango JB by Great Notion Brewing. And she gave this one 4.25 caps, but with no notes to go along with it. And what we're going to do is we're going to refresh. And that is what everybody is drinking, Denny.
Wow. That was a great untapped segment. A lot of extra conversation in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of feedback, a lot of good stuff. So thank you everyone for checking in the beers and letting us have our segment. We love this segment and we love all the interaction. All right. So now it is Beer Speak 101, where we briefly define common and not so common beer terminology. And in this episode, we explain what it means when we talk about tannins. You guys probably hear me talk about tannins all the time, and you're probably wondering, what the heck is a tannin? Well, let me tell you what a tannin is. It's a group of organic compounds contained in certain cereal grains and other plants. Tannins are present in the hop cone, also called hop tannin, to distinguish it from tannins originating from malty barley. The greater part of the malt tannin content is derived from malt husks, but malt tannins differ chemically from hop tannins. In extreme examples, tannins from both can be perceived as a taste or sensation, similar to sampling black tea that has steeped for a very long time.
Hmm.
And that is true. A lot of times the tannins have like a puckering, like a dryness and a puckering type effect as well. And you can also get tannins from being exposed to wood too long as well. So
Mm-hmm.
the tannins will come out in that wood as well. So yeah, so tannins are just that extra. I guess you know what, I should have actually put down like the taste component too. Maybe next time I'll put the taste in. I forgot to add what like
So tannins are the kind of tartness,
tartness, like
bitterness that you get out of grape peels, wood. Yeah, you'd mentioned wood, but like you said, like if you let
it's a
black tea,
tanginess. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
a
if you let
tanginess.
black tea steep way too long, it's a very good comparison of what that is. The only reason I've ever learned about them was because of like the wines class I took in culinary school.
Yeah, yeah. I guess for me it's I tannin is when I have like a when the beer is included a tang, like a tanginess to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I always think of tannins. Like it's not a natural flavor. Something that kind of stands out a little bit tangy.
Well, it's also the what colors the wines too, the wines or the
Mm-hmm.
beers or the tea, because we talk about it here when we have like our rivers and stuff that are just, I mean, they get fed by stream or springs and they're super clear, and then they mix with other bodies of water that are just steeping all these tree leaves and wood and all kinds of stuff. And it's just, it looks like tea and it mixes together with this spring water and it just turns it brown. So Jeff Seiler said the canned Rolling Rock was not skunky at all, just very
No,
light, mildly sweet, not at all what he expected. But he said, probably haven't had one in about 30 years or so.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guess what time it is? It's time for the brew buzz,
It's
and the
tool time. Sorry.
it's buzz time,
Yeah.
where the brew buzz is devoted to discussing various beer-related topics. And as I already mentioned, this week we are going to do an introduction to Belgian beer styles. And again, this is a revisited topic that you can find, one of our two of our most popular episodes are our episode 23 and 25, where we talk about introduction to Belgian beers as well. I mean, for some reason, people want to learn about Belgian styles, and they listen to those episodes. It probably has 3 times as many downloads as any other episode. Maybe I don't even know how many because I lost track of. I don't have records of the old downloads, so I don't even know. It might even have like 6 times the number now. I don't know, but it's very good. And I thought I want to revisit. I want to go into a little bit more detail on some of these styles, and why not do an introduction first, let everyone know what each one is about, and then we'll go ahead and pick the ones I haven't already done deeper topics on, and we'll dive into those. And guess which one I haven't done that kind of shocked me when I thought we had done something, but I couldn't find anything in my notes that said it. But saison, we haven't done a deep dive into saison. How in the world could we go 8 years without talking about saison?
I swear we've done an episode on saisons.
I thought so, but not in my tracker that I put all the topics.
Yeah.
I didn't have it covered. I
Look,
looked 3 times just to make sure.
if anybody's going to have notes on it, it's you.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started in introducing everyone to Belgian styles. I pulled this information from a number of sites. Uh, the Quick and Dirty Guide to Belgian Beer Styles and Beer Sessions, written by Emma Christensen. I actually have her book right behind me, Brew Better Beer. Is that visible? Oh, it's not visible into the screen, but yeah, I have her book. Um, and she wrote this on thekitchen.com. So she's a very good source for information. I also got some information from the Beginner's Guide to Belgian Beer Styles, written by um, Mike Reese and found on the SeriousEats.com website. And beer in Belgium, of course, found on Wikipedia.
Hooray.
Now, you got to use a little Wikipedia in there. I didn't use very much from them. I just kind of pulled out some tidbits of information that I thought might be entertaining for our listener. So let's get started. I'll go ahead and start this off. I'll go ahead and read the little intro here, Chris, and then I'll read the Belgian White and Wit, and then I'll let you go hit into the lambics after. Are you good with that?
Great
Okay.
with that.
All right. So, for such a geographically small country, Belgium has quite an impressive number of beer styles, and delicious ones at that. Belgian beers are primarily ales with a heavy emphasis on malts and lots of fruity yeast flavors. The yeast character can also provide herbal spiciness as well. Not only are the beers of Belgium vast in quantity, they're vast in quality, diversity, and cultural importance. Every beer that we credit to the country's name seems to have a history and character that's independent of its neighbors on your local craft beer store shelf. So this is true, and we're going to highlight most of the styles that are Belgian styles. I'm not going to highlight the Belgian IPA because I don't like Belgian IPAs, and I don't really claim that as a real style. But
I'll agree with you.
but we don't do that. I don't do Belgian stouts either because, again, even though there are some stouts, I just don't think it's one you're going to find very often. And if you do, it's going to have, talk about tannins, for me, every time I have a Belgian stout, it seems like tannins are a big part of that. So I just kind of stay away from those as well. Um, but everything else, I think we covered pretty well in this introduction. So those are the two. I'm just gonna give a warning right now. You're not going to hear about those two because those, there's better Belgian beers in my opinion to drink than those. All right, I'll start it off. Talk about the Belgian white or wit beer. Uh, Probably most common one you've seen. Well, I'll say the most common one that if you want to get something from Belgium is Hogarden. But if you want to get something in the States, it's Blue Moon.
Hmm.
I think I'd rather you go to Hogarden
Yeah,
than Blue Moon because
I don't
Hogarden
know.
is a good beer.
My
I'm not a
local,
big. What's that?
I was gonna say my local grocery store had Shock Top, buy one get one free today.
Is that even beer
I don't
or
know.
is it beer
It just
flavored
made me
malt
laugh.
beverage or something?
It just made me laugh. I was like, "Ooh, Shock Top." That was, exciting after I got over my Blue Moon phase.
Yes, yes, that was a little bit better than Blue Moon back in the day. Now, again, we're not downplaying Blue Moon. It serves a purpose for a lot of people to get into craft beer, so it's good. It's just that by time Blue Moon came out, there was so many other
Hmm.
introduction gateway beers I think would have been better. But hey, if it got you into craft beer, hey, we're not gonna mock it too badly. We did do a focus topic back in episode 143. So if you want to learn more about the wit beer, we go deep dive into it on 143. These cloudy pale beers are brewed with some unmalted wheat along with the regular malted barley, giving this beer its characteristic weedy flavor and thick, creamy texture. They are traditionally flavored with coriander and orange peel and have a very low bitterness. And that's very true. Coriander and orange peel are big components into these whip beers. And I love these beers myself. I really enjoy them.
All right, on to the lambics. Bring on the funk. This style of beer is spontaneously fermented, meaning that the wort is open to the air, allowing any local yeasts and bacteria to take up residence in the beer, like kind of like sourdough bread. The result is a range of flavors ranging from very sour to candy sweet to barnyard like. I still try. I really do. There are three main kinds of lambics that you'll actually see outside of Belgium. You've got the straight lambic, which is an unblended lambic. This is the real stuff, straight from the barrel. It's rarely found outside of Belgium. It's uncarbonated and served almost exclusively on tap. Fruit lambics for this style, a healthy amount of whole fruit gets added to the brew. Cherry, peach, and raspberry are most common. Traditional fruited lambics have the funky flavors of goza, complemented by a heavy dose of bright, fresh flavor imparted by the fruit of choice. To make these beers, the fruit is usually jammed right into the barrel, kickstarting another fermentation that eats up all the fruit sugars, leaving a dry, finished beer. Much of the fruit's flavor is left behind, and the color of the beer can be dramatically affected by the fruit. Cherry lambics, known by the Dutch word for cherry, kriek, are the most common. I literally had one of those last week. But raspberry or framboise, grape, and stone fruit are commonly used as well. Now,
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is one that we see a lot. That we get a whole lot of just because they're a little more fruit forward, but they're still tart and tangy too.
Yeah, they're low alcohol as well, and it feels. I think people, and it's expensive. I mean, it's like $15 a bottle, but they are really good. I mean, I love the framboise. I love the peach one even. I'm not a big peach fan, as you know, Chris, but the peach lambic is really good. The Creek, fantastic. I do enjoy them, and we went a few Thanksgivings where we'd always have a bottle or two that we would have at Thanksgiving because it is it goes well with the savory foods of a turkey dinner, and it's not high in alcohol, so you're not going to get wasted when you drink two of these big bottles of lambic, and it just goes well. So yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, and it's literally 2, 3. I've seen them almost at 4%.
Yeah, it's like yeah, 2.5 to 4%. It's like
All
the
right.
max, I think.
Well, let's talk about the goose or the goes
It's
or
goose. You're right,
yeah.
right, goose.
So this combines some young and some old or aged lambic to achieve a more balanced and controlled flavor. And then the beer usually aged for another year. It's pale, dry, and complex with funky flavors that range from oaky, cheesy, and barnyard like to lemony, honey like, and briny.
Yeah. So yeah, so there's a three, and that was the goose was what I was the Deschutes the ages. That was a
Mm,
goose. We were trying to think of that name last episode, and I wasn't quite as awake as I am today. Today you caught me. I'm really tired, but I'm really clear headed as well.
me
I
too.
don't know why. I just feel like I'm not foggy headed, and I woke up like super tired. But I went, bust out my work, and I came here prepared to chat up this topic. So
That's
it
how we
was
know it's
good.
going to be a good episode.
Yeah, yeah. And I do have one more thing to say about lambics,
Mm-hmm.
which my buddy Alex Fuchs, right here, from Three Legged
Oh, that's
Crow
awesome.
Brewing, he went to Belgium just a month or two ago, maybe a month ago, and he went and traveled through and tried lambics, and he was always familiar with the lambics that we're talking, the fruited ones, right? That aren't overly sour or tart, and he doesn't like sour or tart things. The sweet ones he doesn't mind. He went and did a Belgian tour of lambics, and every single lambic he had was probably of the style of the straight lambic, where it was really
Mm,
acidic and sour and way stronger than he had ever imagined. So keep that in mind that if you go to Belgium expecting to get what we get over here
yeah.
with the fruit lambic, you might be surprised. It might be a little bit more acidic and sour than you were expecting. Just to
Yeah.
let you
You can either drink it and get a little buzz going on, or you can take the paint off of your house
know.
with it.
Exactly. It'll. You need to
Whitens your
resurface your
teeth.
yeah, resurface your car. Yeah, you can do it. Okay. Um, I'll do the saisons and farmhouse ales. This
Okay.
beer is a distinctively fruity character with slight tang, similar to lambics, but nowhere near as pervasive. Many breweries also add herbs and spices to complement the flavors. Saison means season in French. And there's also a beer de garde, which translates into beer for keeping. Now, this is more of a, it's like a saison, but it's a little bit different. It's not its whole style,
It's a little
but
more
it's
malty.
yeah, it's a little bit
Eh,
it's close to a saison, but it's a little bit different. There's not a lot. I wanted to go and investigate this a little bit more, and I ran out of time. But I just wanted to mention it, and I think when I do the saison topic, I will add beer de garde to go into
no.
more detail about that because they're very similar styles. Um,
And interestingly enough, if we're in the saison and farmhouse ale kind of styles, and then kind of leaning on the beer de garde, I actually had a beer de garde at Three Bulls, the Three Bulls Brewing down the street from
okay,
us, and it was I I really enjoyed it. And honestly, I got it because it is a style that I haven't tried in a long time. I didn't really remember much about the style itself. And I
hmm
was like, well, if Tracy's brewing it, then
it's got
I
to be
mean,
good.
I got to try it. And man, it was really good. I enjoyed it. I had two of them. So
Yeah,
once again, if you find a beer style that you don't like, you just haven't tried the
you
right
haven't tried
one.
you haven't tried the right one. And
I
I
haven't
mentioned
had
that.
enough.
Yeah, I mentioned that same thing to a few people on Untapped this week, and is that they went and tried like cold IPA for example. I think
Yeah.
Robbie, I think it was Robbie Mud Shanker.
Hmm.
I'm trying now. All of a sudden, my clear head just got foggy.
Yeah.
But I think he had a cold IPA and just wasn't like really feeling it. Like, what the heck is this? And I explained that, or maybe it was WC, one of the other guys. Now I can't remember. Now I feel bad. I feel bad. I chat with a bunch of people
Yeah.
on their check-ins, but there's a few that I made a comment that, hey, don't give up on it. Try another one.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll find one that you do enjoy. This one just wasn't. Don't put the whole style onto one brewer. That one brewer may have done something differently that's not being done by most of the other ones, and try a different one. You might enjoy it because honestly, I'm shocked at how many of these cold IPAs I've had that I really enjoy. And I hated the brewed IPA. There was like one brewed IPA out of 30 that I enjoyed. Yet I enjoy every one of my of 20 to 30 that I've had of the cold IPA so far. I've enjoyed, I think, all of them, and gave pretty high ratings. I think
Yeah.
it's a style that I enjoy, and I'm enjoying the difference of it. Right? It's like a lager, a hoppy lager, but it's like an IPA with lager characteristics too. It's kind of weird. It is an odd style, but I do enjoy it.
I have to stand up for 1 second. So let me
Oh,
actually, you know what?
okay.
Let me go through Abbey Ales,
Yeah, go
and then
ahead.
I'll jump into this, and then
Yeah.
I'll go see why I have to look out the window.
Okay.
Um, Abbey Ales. So when we think of Belgian beer, often the image that comes to mind is that of an enrobed monk tipsy off of his own supply, hoisting a clunky chalice full of beer. The image may not be rooted in reality, but the Abbey Ales of Belgium are a great place to get started when you're exploring Belgian beer. These are doubles, triples, quads, or quadruples. The beers made famous by monastic brewers and their secular imitators. Okay, wow. Guess I really need to maybe go get glasses or something. Anyway, just make this text bigger. Doubles, these are dark amber brown beers with a lot of rich roasted malt flavors. They can be somewhat spicy and with fruity characteristics. Check out triples on episode 182. It has a very focused topic on that one. Brewed with triple the typical malts. These are big, dense beers. They're usually golden in color with notes of spice, fruit, and honey, and are often a bit more bitter than typical of Belgian ales to balance out all the malts. And the quad, inspired by the double and triple styles, quads are an emerging style in the US. They are usually deep, reddish brown in color with a robust multi flavor profile and upwards of 10% ABV.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Chris, why don't you go stuff
All right.
away? I'll go ahead and carry on.
Okay, let's see what's going on.
And I wanted to say that it's funny that the quad is a style that, yeah, you are seeing it re-immerse, but there was a lot of quads probably 15 years ago. You'd see a Belgian quad as a style that some breweries would brew, and then it kind of slowed down, and now the quad I think is coming back. I've had a couple quads recently that I've kind of haven't had that style for a while, um, and they're good, but they can. But what's interesting about the quad is that they can be a quad that's more balanced, or a quad that is on one extreme of that alcohol content that is hard to to balance out that alcohol with the flavors of the Belgian styles. So you got to really be careful. Not all quads are the same. It really depends on the way that the brewer brewed it, and if he was able to balance out the 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 sweetness and the alcohol content, so it's a nice enjoying experience and not something that's hard to get down, because they can be overly sweet as well. Okay, so now we talked about Abbey beers. What about Trappist beers? And again, we went into detail on Trappist beers in episode 60. Way back in episode 60, again, we really went into all these Trappist beers. So if you want a deep dive into that, go back to episode 60, 60. These are beers brewed in Trappist monasteries, and they're termed Trappist beers. For a beer to qualify as a Trappist certification, the brewery must be in a monastery. The monks must play a role in its production, and the policies and profits of the sales must be used to support the monastery or social programs outside. There are only 12 monasteries currently that meet these qualifications, six of which are in Belgium, two in the Netherlands, one in Austria, and one in the United States. There's one in Italy and one in England as well. Trappist beer is a controlled term of origin. It tells where the beers come from. It's not the name of a beer style. Beyond their being mostly warm fermented, Trappist beers have very little in common with stylisticality.
That's a good word.
Stylistically. Style.
Stylistically.
Stylistically. Okay, I'll pass on that. Let's say okay. So the current Belgian Trappist producers are Chimay, and they sell the red label, which is a dark 7% double, a white label, which is a blonde 8% triple, and a blue label, which is a dark 9% Christmas ale,
I like that
and then
one.
the Chimay Doré Gold Cap, which is a blonde 4.8% ABV Inkel. Orval sells a unique dry hopped 6.2% amber beer. Rochefort sells three dark beers, a 6, which is a 7.5% ABV, a 8, which is a 9.2 ABV, and a 10, which is 11.3% ABV, and a blonde ale, which is a triple extra 8.1% ABV. I could swear they also had a 12, but maybe I'm mistaken. I could swear I have a Rochefort 12 on my shelf somewhere, but maybe it was a 10. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought they had a 12 as well. West Mall sells a double at 7% and a triple at 9.5%. And uh, West Vletleren, I can never say this damn brewery. West Vletleren, West, it
Yeah,
has
let's
a,
go with that.
yeah, yeah,
West Vletleren.
yeah.
Better.
I
Yeah.
know it has a specific name. I'm just not good with names. You guys know me well enough. They have a green cap or a blonde at 5.8%, a blue cap, which is a dark 8% ABV. They have an 8, or the blue cap is also known as 8 for 8%, I guess, and a yellow cap, which is a dark 10.2%, or also known as 12. And in addition to the above, the lower strength beer is sometimes brewed for consumption by the brothers, which is Pater's beer, and sold on site.
That's
Pater's beer.
West Vleteren.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to even try, but thank you, Chris.
I had to. All right. So moving on to the Belgian Strong Pale Ale. I do like these two.
And the Belgian blonde. These are
And the
both of the
Belgian
same.
Blonde.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
kind of the same style.
Yeah. So the Belgian Strong Pale Ale, also known as Belgian Strong Golden
Golden
Ale,
ale. That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, is a more recent invention credited to Belgian brewers Duval Mortgat. The beer that started it all is known simply as Duvel. That's devil in Flemish. And it took its current bright golden form in the 1970s, crisp, strong, and extremely highly carbonated. Duvel and its imitators are not totally dissimilar to the triple style, but tend to be drier, lighter in color, and a bit more bitter.
Hmm.
The Belgian Pale Ale, given the name, feels strange that Belgian Pale Ales don't have a lot in common with Belgian strong pale ales. These actually more closely resemble English pale ales, amber to copper in color with toasty malt quality and a moderate strength around 4.5 to 6% ABV. You can expect a fruity and peppery yeast aroma that's more subdued than most Belgian ales, with a mild, earthy hoppiness that may poke through on the finish.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's get into some of the more, what I think, harsher style here of Belgian beers. These are the Flanders Red and the Flanders Brown, and we did go into a deep dive in episode 145. So if you want to learn more about these, episode 145 is a good spot to a good episode to listen to. And it says lambic isn't the only sour thing happening in Belgium. Flanders sour ales have a similarly tart thing going on for them. These are beers indigenous to the northern half of Belgium and are available in two varieties, a red and a brown. The brown is also known as the Oud Bruin. Despite their Belgian origin, Flanders red ales likely drew their inspiration from the tart blended porters that once dominated the English beer market. Eugene Rodenbach, who is credited with the style's inception, brought knowledge of porter blending techniques back to Belgium after a stint studying brewing in England. At his family's Rodenbach Brewery, he created the torch-bearing examples of the style. Deep red in color, Rodenbach sour ales are packed with berry, plum, and balsamic vinegar-like flavor. Yeah, who wants balsamic vinegar in their beer?
I mean, There's
Yeah,
time.
yeah. With an acidic sourness coming from a bacterial fermentation in oak vessels. The Flanders brown ales are similar beers, but tend to be a bit maltier. Fruit flavors tend towards plum, figs, and dates more so than red berries, and there tends to be a bit less vinegar like sourness. And I'm trying to remember, I think that is, I'm trying to remember if that is correct. I'm trying to think of my experience, and I think brown ales are easy to drink now that I think about it. I, I steered away from these because I steered away from most sour beers because my stomach can't handle the acidity. As I've gotten older, it's one of the things that I've become sensitive to. And I loved sour beers for a while, but I just realized that every time I drank them, I just like would suffer afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's right. I think the brown ale was not as acidic, and the red ales were the more acidic ones, as they say here. Okay, Chris.
Belgian dark ales. And again, you can check out another episode of ours. Episode 60 has a focus topic on the Belgian dark ale. It's a very diverse style. The color can be anywhere from amber to ruby brown. That's a great descriptor of a color too. Ruby brown. And they're
Ruby
known
coffee.
for, yeah, and they're known for thick, lasting heads. Generally low in bitterness, sitting at around 15 to 25 IBUs. Dark ales can be dry with spice notes or sweet and malty or anywhere in between. The ABVs range from 4.5 to 7.5%. A strong dark ale magnifies all the style's characteristics and is typically fruitier.
Yeah. So one of my favorite Belgian styles is a Belgian dark strong ale. I mean, I when I visited John in Seattle and we were going to brew a beer, he asked, "What do you want to brew?" And what did I tell him? A Belgian dark strong ale.
Yeah.
And that was the first Belgian dark strong ale that he ever brewed. And although it came across a little sweeter than we had planned up front, it aged very well. And in fact, I have none of these beers left. We drank them all, but uh, it really, as it aged, it really has some great flavor. I mean, even 4 years after we brewed it, it still had some. It was really good beer.
I think that
So
was about the time that I got it. It was 3 or 4 years
yeah,
in. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah. There's none of those beers are left. I drank them all. I gave them away, and I drank them. I gave away a couple to my good friends, and then I drank the rest of them that John gave me on his way to Ohio because he had to. He couldn't take all that beer with him across the country. He had to drop it off in Boise. I was a lucky
Yeah.
guy that got to enjoy that.
John, it's you might want to see if you can't add that one to the list. Just saying.
I've been trying to get him to brew it at Trek, but he's just not doing it. I should think he should do like a small batch on his one barrel
There's
system.
one barrel system.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, Chris, why don't you go ahead and finish off the topic? We finished the styles. That's the style talk for now. But I wanted to add a little section here on how to drink, how to serve your Belgian beer. So go ahead and talk about that.
So, despite the great variety, serving Belgian beer follows the same general recommendations. They're best at cellar temperatures between 40 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit. For glasswares, for glassware, a stemmed glass with a somewhat rounded bowl is preferred so the drinker can fully enjoy the aroma. Funny enough, I was doing the same thing a second ago where I was having just a sniff of this beer that I started at the beginning of the show. Denny, I'm glad I had a whole can of this and not a 5-ounce taster. I can still smell it. It's chocolate and
Oh
it
boy.
smells so good. Anyway, a somewhat rounded bowl is preferred so the drinker can fully enjoy the aroma. Belgian blonde and pale ales, both Flanders styles, IPAs, and wheat beer are commonly poured into a tulip glass.
Mhm.
Dark ales, doubles, triples, and quads are often poured into a goblet. Since these ales can be very yeasty, it's often best to decant the beer when pouring. To do this, simply pour very slowly, even more than usual, to reduce agitation and leave the sediment in the bottle. Some drinkers enjoy a bit of yeast in the glass and will add the desired amount when the glass is nearly full.
Only if it's the wit beer you
Oh,
can do
yep,
that.
yep. That's the only time I
The
do
other
it too.
ones don't pour the yeast in because it will add
Tannins.
bitterness,
Yeah.
tannins and bitterness to the beer. And does not enhance the flavor. So the whip beer is the only one I suggest that you take a chance because it does taste the whip tastes good with those extra stuff. But yeah, you can. Uh, I have Belgian glasses that I will typically pour my nice Belgian beers into, and it does it does work. It does work well. So that is our topic. We gave you guys an introduction to all the various Belgian beer styles. I hope you guys found something that intrigued you. And of the topics we've already discussed, you can now go back and re-listen to those episodes before you go and drink the beers that you're going to try. And yeah, so that's the end of that topic. I want to comment. I've been drinking a few more beers since we've been recording. We didn't talk about it. Payet's Fly Line Vienna Lager. I followed that from the Mexican lager from Mad Swede. Again, that's another local brewery here in Boise. And then I got to support my Reuben's Brews. We can
Oh
now get
yeah.
Reuben's in Boise. And Hazelicious, although I don't consider this beer like one of my favorite hazy IPAs. And it's not one of my favorite Reuben's beers, but they did win a medal in the World Cup for hazy beer. I don't know. I didn't research which one, but I saw they won a medal. So you know what? I bought 2 6 packs of it to support them and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Was I wrong? No, it's a good hazy, but it's not the best hazy I've had. I just don't know what they provided at the World Beer Cup. Maybe Eric can tell me what his comments were on if he was serving up hazy beers up there. But it's a good beer. I mean, I bought 2 6 packs, so it's not bad. It's just that
Yeah.
it's to me. I've had so many other hazies that I consider are better, but it's very drinkable, and I do enjoy Reuben. So, cheers to that.
Me too.
Okay, it's time for our new and noteworthy beers, and as you see, Chris, I didn't have a lot to talk about. But how about you? Have you had some new and noteworthy beers?
So, kind of in the for those of you that aren't stuck to your TV like I am during the Stanley Cup playoffs, let's go Bolts, right? Um, I've been drinking my beers. I don't know. I've gotten into this habit where if I'm sitting down watching a Tampa Bay Lightning game, I'm drinking a Tampa beer,
Oh, well, good.
preferably in a Tampa glass. And I joke and say Tampa beer in a Tampa glass equals Tampa wins. So,
Of course it does.
my two beers this week have come from Cigar City's El Catador Club, their 13th edition, which I am slowly getting through. Their first one was called Ravens, Crows, and Magpies. Now, this one was the
All scavenger birds.
yeah, all scavenger birds. The name itself, funny enough, if you guys get a hold of the Hunapoo Stout, the story behind Hunapoo Stout all revolves around Mayan mythology. Okay, so the description that they've put for this beer, which 13.5%, it's an imperial stout. It says, though ravens, crows, and magpies are considered bad luck in many cultures, we celebrate them and their place in Mayan mythology with this new spin on a CCB classic. Think of it as a familiar relative to a hero twin and consider yourself lucky. This was basically Hunapoo, aged in, I believe it was apple brandy barrels. So this is a beer that I guess I'm now thinking about this, and this kind of irritates me and makes me happy all at the same time. I've had this beer before,
Okay.
but you guys threw it in my freaking El Catador Club, which is their barrel aged beer club. But it's still so good. 4.5 caps for this beer is what I gave it. And for those of you that are not familiar with Hunapoo, it's basically a chili, cinnamon, cacao nibs. I think there's something else in it. I can't remember what exactly was all in it, but
And
super
super
good.
thick.
Yeah, I mean, again, clocking in at 13.5%. It's one that I sip on while we're watching the game. and just really enjoying it. Which I don't know if you heard that. That was one of my dogs just singing a song. That was funny.
I did hear something. I didn't realize it was a dog, though.
That was Guinness, yeah. But the next one I had on my list was also a beer out of the same series called No Hitter in Progress. And the info on No Hitter in Progress, come on, give me a picture. Just says, don't ever let a pitcher know they've got a no hitter or perfect game going. The minute you mention it, kiss that hurler's good luck goodbye. Keep a glass of this coconut and pistachio laden treat to your lips and pray to the baseball gods for that coveted no. So that No Hitter in Progress. I gave this one 4.5 caps as well. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was an imperial stout. They had mentioned some pistachio and what was the other thing that they mentioned in there? Pistachio and coconut. Super simple, just dark, roasty, kind of chocolatey imperial stout with some coconut. Pistachio. I mean, I don't even really know what pistachio tastes like when it comes to a beer. But
Oh, come on, man.
no, don't you come on, man, me.
Come on, man.
Listen, it was delicious. There's another bottle in my fridge, which I'm very excited about. And funny enough, I thought I drank these all already. So I'm glad I have it. So I had these two beers from Cigar City, both 4.5 caps, and I will continue drinking these beers as we progress onto the second round, starting tomorrow of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Okay. Well, good luck with that.
Well, thank you. Now, Denny, what about your new and noteworthy beers?
Yeah, I have been drinking a lot of stuff that I've already checked into, so I don't have any. I mean, they're good beers, like this Mundo Loco. I've talked about this beer before,
Mm-hmm.
but I have two beers also to talk about. One that really surprised me. I don't know why it surprised me because the beers from this brewery are typically good, but really they're known for IPAs, and this is from Ecliptic Brewing, Ecliptic. I think maybe the beer is catching up to me on an
Yeah.
almost empty stomach. Ecliptic Brewing out of Portland, Oregon, and this is their Capella Porter. And this is what I said about this is mild roast up front, blending in with chocolate and caramel from the mid to finish. Easy drinking and smooth. I really like this porter. Not sure why the ratings are so low. So I think the ratings were like 3.85 or something like that was the average for like a lot of check-ins. And I don't know why this beer is fantastic. I give it a 4.5 cap rating. Uh, and and that's because it's a porter that has adjuncts added, but you still get that porter character. It's not taken away by these additions. It really worked well with it, and I really enjoyed it. And I'll probably pick up a 4 pack and keep drinking it. And yeah, so that was the first one. And then the second beer, I met up with my buddy Alex when he was here. We went to we met up over at the Growler guys, and they have 40 some beers on their taps, right? 40 some beers, and I had pretty much had every beer except for three of them. I guess I have a problem.
No.
My problem
Remember,
is I enjoy drinking beer.
you remember our one of our previous sponsors, Brewer shirts. They had the shirt that said, "Look, it's not alcoholism, it's a hobby."
It's a hobby. That's right. So, but there were a couple beers that I hadn't had, and so I drank all three of them. But this one was one I rated the highest, and it's from Trickster's Brewing, and I think this is a an Idaho brewery up north, and it's called Bear Trap Brown.
Hmm.
And I'm a sucker for a brown ale, right? I'll drink any brown ale because it's a style that you don't get enough of. And I'll tell you what, it was a good brown. And all I wrote on here because I was visiting with my friend Alex, so I didn't want to spend too much time, is I said, nice, flavorful brown, 4 cap rating. And you know what? A connoisseur of brown ales, a 4 cap rating is pretty damn, good
Yeah.
for that. So, yeah, those are my two beers of noteworthiness for this episode. Okay, Chris. Well, you know what? Looking at our at one point, we've had 46 viewers on Twitter. Amazingly enough,
Woo, man.
which is nice. But no one really stuck around. We had a couple stick around for a little bit, and there's one more on right now. So thank you for joining us on Twitter, and our it looks like our Facebook viewers are dying down too. So you know what that means, Chris?
It's
It
time to
means
close the show.
yeah, we should probably close the show out because I think we had a great show. We'll keep it down under an hour and a half. But before we do that, I always want to give you a chance to raise your glass and give somebody a cheers. So who'd like to raise a glass to tonight?
I would love a raise.
Have another beer, Chris.
No, I
Another
can't.
13%.
Yeah, because the next one I have in my cooler is like an 8.5% beer. So no, I'm getting out of here semi sober. I'd love to raise a glass to Mr. Jeff Seiler. Jeff, cheers to you, buddy. Cheers to your 50th anniversary of your 18th birthday, my friend.
Cheers to 18, Jeff.
Yeah, I would
18.
love to raise a glass with you sometime in the very near future, sir.
I will raise a glass to you, Jeff, when we're together in Asheville, because I will make a trip to Asheville. We will get together and we'll drink some beers.
Please let me know when you do that.
Okay, I will.
Or when you want to do that.
I want to do it now. I just don't have the money right now. I've got other things going on, but I will do it.
Yeah, same. Anyway, cheers to you, buddy, and happy birthday. I hope you had an awesome day and some nostalgia with your Rolling Rock, sir. And Denny, who would you like to raise a glass to this evening?
Well, so I'm pretty lame. I just have a toast to our Patreon toast this week is to my buddy Mike Blanchard. Thank you for supporting the show. We appreciate it. Virtual producer. And Mike, if you are listening, which I'm sure you are, I will be visiting Oregon, Salem area, over the 4th of July weekend. So let me know if you'll be in town. We'll go meet up at a brewery in Salem and we'll drink some beers together. So cheers to you, Mike.
Cheers, Mike.
And of course, being a former serviceman, I always want to raise my glass and thank all those who have served and are currently serving in the U.S. military services, protecting our freedoms. Thank you for your service. Cheers to you, and return home safely to your families very soon. And of course, Chris, why don't you go ahead and raise a glass to our sponsor?
Our sponsor is Frost Buddy. They specialize in cooling containers for your beverage of choice. Frost Buddy has the Universal Buddy 2.0, which is the world's first universal can cooler for 12-ounce cans, slim cans, bottles, and even 16-ounce cans. Frost Buddy also has the world's first universal wine cooler, 24-ounce stainless steel mugs, and even stainless steel dog bowls. Go visit their website at frostbuddy.com.
Oh, you caught me in mid-sip. I should have been faster. Huh?
That's okay. Swallow quickly.
All right. You can find the beers and the links to the articles I mentioned in the show notes located on the show post at taptocraft.com. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped at Loose Screw. And Chris, how can our listeners follow you?
So never on Twitter at Chris_McKenzie82, or you can find me on Untapped and Instagram at MCK1345. But you can also check in with us on everything social at Tap the Craft.
All right. It is last call. It's time to bring the show to a close. We want to thank you for downloading and listening, and we ask you to please tell a friend. And of course, subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And as a reminder, we release a new show every 2 weeks. Now go out there and spread the good word of craft beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.